everybody, and welcome again to Bourbon Over Baseball with your host, Bob, and co-host, Peter.
Hey, Bob.
All right, I'm back to drinking bourbon again. I'm just going to continue drinking this Hudson Maple Cask Rye whiskey from New York, even though we're talking about another big city here in the NL and the Chicago Cubs.
Yeah, back to the NL Central for one of the winningest teams this year, the good old Cubbies.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I used to love them. I still sort of do. I hated them the year they beat the Indians, but their team has been good. I like their managing style. I like the stuff that they do. I like some of their players. I'm not a big Schwarber fan, even though he's from Ohio, but I'm a big Chris Bryant fan. I like Zobrist a lot, Javi Baez. They're a good fielding team. They seem to do things right. But they got an interesting squad here, some highs and lows.
Definitely some highs and lows. I'm honestly shocked they didn't win the NL Central.
Yeah, I think they deserved it. Obviously, no team is better than the Dodgers, but they just have a good overall feel to their team.
The lineup is 2880 point-wise.
So huge.
30 points more than the Yankees.
Yeah, who we just got done talking about in the last podcast that you guys have heard. Their team is stacked. I mean, they have, big Rizzo, big Chris Bryant. I think a surprise in some people in Javi Baez. They'll either like or hate his card. Zobrist had a great year. Schwarber had a great year. They had two power pitchers, an okay bullpen. I think they had a great team. I love the cards. As we get to some of these, we'll talk about them. I love the blue is really sharp. Some of the artwork used is great. Let's break this down. Who do you want to start with?
Yeah, so top of the order, Ben Zobrist. Very similar to the Altuve and Lorenzo Cain cards that we've seen before.
These are guys I'm drafting. 10 on base, no homers. These are my kind of players.
Yeah, and with Zobrist, you get some defensive flexibility, +3 second base, while also getting +2 at the corner outfield spots. Okay speed, no home run, but, he's a guy that, just like the Cubs are using here, solid guy to start off a lineup.
Yeah, I mean, I like him a lot. I love 10 on base, no home run guys because they can give me low point values. Obviously, I can't stack my whole team with them. I probably won't score a lot, but having that flexibility in position, I think he's great. He gets out a lot with 5, but 330 for 2 positions at plus fielding and 10 on base. I really like him. I plus like the card you made for him. I think that was great too. So, yeah.
I had to find doppelganger Ben Zobrist for you, Bob, with the beard and everything there.
Yeah, I'm no Justin Turner with my red beard, but I could be a doppelganger. He's got a pretty heavy beard in this photo.
And then next, Chris Bryant, way down from his MVP days in 2016. But I made a card very reminiscent of that one. I think you thought I used the same image.
Yeah, I thought for sure you did.
But I really like the way this card turned out because it's just giant Chris Bryant with the cool shades and the cool bat kind of low on his shoulder. He's just sort of looking to the future when he and Bryce Harper can team up together. He hit a bunch of home runs in Wrigley.
I mean, I could see it, and we've talked offline about this. But with the Cardinals signing Goldie, I could see the Cubs really pushing for a heavy outfielder to try to compete. I don't know if Chris Bryant or if Bryce Harper's the answer, but I do love this Chris Bryant. Yes, he is not as good as his old one, which is tearing up my season right now.
Yeah.
But a 10 on base, 20 home run for 350. I mean, the only thing he's going to hurt you on is he does have the 1 through 6 out. That does hurt a bit.
And good double range.
Yeah, I like some of those other cards you had. Who were we talking about last week? Chris Taylor, who can double at 11. Things like that are really big for me.
Yep.
Getting on second base here at 16 is a little tough, but where I think you're getting your value is he's only 350 points for an on-base 10. If you're a guy or a girl who likes to have a great lineup of big 10, 9, 11 on-base people, you could sneak these players in because of their low value. or low salary. Sorry, their value is high.
Yeah. I think a guy I'd be more inclined to sneak in, and it'd be 60 more points. But the next hitter, Anthony Rizzo,
Yeah.
who is the first that we've seen so far of the first base +2.
Yes, I mean, when I was going through the metrics for them, him and Paul Goldschmidt were like the top fielders for their positions. I believe they both won Gold Gloves this year. They had like
Yeah.
a tie.
Shared it somehow.
Yeah, shared it. But they were great. I mean, these are the guys you want. And obviously, we were talking about the Cardinals signing Goldschmidt. And the reason they did that is because they've been terrible for years at first base. So now you can get a guy in Anthony Rizzo here who's a 10+2 first baseman that can hit multi-home runs. I think that's great. Again, hurts with the 6 outs, but
Yeah.
I think this player for 60 more points, like you said, the more home runs, the better fielding, he's going to get drafted a lot more.
And then next, I think it's the
This is your
favorite.
guy. This is your boy.
This is my favorite looking card.
The card looks fantastic.
This is my favorite looking one. I have a lot that I'm like, this might be my favorite. This one is my favorite.
So I have a lot
Jumping
of
Have.
I have a lot of people might not know this. I'm a huge comic book fan. I'm a huge comic book nerd, and what they did back in the day was they said that you got to have action in your in your comics because they're just a still photo. People they don't want to see a guy just posing. They want to see something happening in this card. This card just speaks action. He has so much flavor in this picture. He's getting this guy out, sliding into second base. He's turning a double play. I don't know. It's fantastic. Plus, he's such a good fielder. So you're getting that for that card. So break down his hitting because he's got that too.
Oh my God! And this might be one of the more controversial cards in a lot of drafts because still 410 points for an on-base 7. Yes, you get +4 second base, +3 third base, eligible to play third base, 22 speed, and an incredible chart. Just incredible chart. But on-base 7 makes it all a big risk.
Yeah, that's what's going to be interesting. People are going to be like, "What? He was like the MVP." Obviously, Christian Yelich was the MVP. He was so much better, but he hit a lot of RBIs. He hit a lot of home runs. That's what this chart's telling you. He got the 15 to 20 home run. He was a great fielder. He played multiple positions. He had a ton of speed, but he didn't get on base as much as people wanted, so it hurt him a little bit. I mean, imagine if he was a 9 on base. His points would be off the chains. But for now, can this guy find a team? I mean,
26 on base. Nothing we can do about it, folks. He had a 326 on base. This is where he ends up. But yeah.
So are you drafting this guy as a 7 on base, putting him on your team? I know you like the 8s.
I honestly think that he will get scooped up before I would take him in a draft. I think somebody or some buddies are going to look at him and think, I get so much. Sort of like you said, if he was an on-base 9, he'd probably be a 500-something point player because he'd be an on-base 9, homers at 17, triples probably at 15 to 16, probably double at 12 with 11 single plus, like an on-base 9 who gets to second on an 11.
This
an incredible card.
This card's getting drafted, and for 2 reasons. One, I don't like drafting anybody lower than a 7. I don't really like 6 guys unless I'm getting I'm punting catching.
Yeah.
But I'm getting a 7, which I'm okay with. I have multiple 7s on my team. Plus speed is huge for me. I want guys that can round the bases, get from second to home. I want guys that can give me plus fielding to help my defense so I can turn double plays. But if I get the advantage, I remember you guys heard me talking about Chris Taylor being an 11 getting on second base.
Yeah.
For sure you're getting over 50% chance you're getting an 8 on base. But with the 7 as a first base plus, which in my league is a +3 to a speed stolen base, you're probably getting on second base at a 7. I mean, you're talking about almost 75% of the chance.
And that's a 25 speed. Like, even if they have a +10 catcher, you're going to be safe 75% of the time.
Yeah, this guy, the more I look at him, you're right. I think someone's grabbing this guy. I'm trying to figure out where, because I know.
Especially when you think about how we kind of depressed control.
It's going to be interesting after we post this, because my friends, they commented, immediately when Mookie Betts got posted, that's my guy. When Josh Hader got posted, that's my guy. Is Javi Baez the guy that people are going to tell me about? Like, that's the guy I want. I feel like he could be. He's got that much, he's a fun card for you too.
I'm kind of talking myself into it the more we look at him.
I think you're talking me into it because I like the Ben Zobrist type people, and I'm over here looking at a 7 on base going, man, could I get that guy on my team?
Yeah, he's got it all except the high risk factor with the low on base, but I kind of think it's good value.
Yeah, I think he's very fun. I think he's well salaried, because he's not only a 7. So that 410 points, people are gonna go, oh my god, why am I paying 400 points for a 7 on base? Well, look at this. I mean, I'm getting on second base almost 50% of the time, or more than that, if I get the advantage. I mean, it's gonna be interesting. I'll wait till my friends. They're very vocal with me. I hope you guys listening and reading are also just as vocal. But yeah, I want to hear Javi Baez, draftable or not. I think he is. I think he is. I just wonder what round. Are we talking a 10-team league, first round draft pick? I think he's a round 2 guy, but
yeah.
But I don't think he goes past 2. I mean, he's too strong.
And then as we go on, this is kind of where the Cubs' impressive lineup really comes into display. Is in the 5, 6, 7 hole. They have 3 on base 8 hitters, so they have. I think similar to the Dodgers, just a ton of depth to this team. And so you have Schwarber, Happ, and Contreras next. Schwarber, I know you're not a fan of,
That's a
but I
personal
think
note.
his card really is another one of those sort of like very similar. We talked about the Yankees, Gleyber Torres, very similar sort of card where you get the on base 8, homer at 17. Schwarber walks at 3.
That's what I like. That's what I'm seeing that I like is that he's an on-base 8 that walks at 3, and it can hit for power, and he's got a plus fielding and middle speed. I mean, this is a very solid player.
Like, this is a guy that you plug into your 5 hole, and you're very satisfied with the results. So to have him here he is, the 5th hitter, works out really well for the Cubs. He's followed up by Ian Happ, who's not that much of a downgrade, really. Little less home run pop, but same double amount. He gets out 1 to 3 instead of 1 to 2. But he's a solid player who had a good year with the Cubs. And then somehow batting 7th is Wilson Contreras, who's another on base 8. His power numbers were definitely down. Can't really like the 1 to 6 out. But
that's what I was looking at. When I see 1 to 6 strikeout, it hurts. It hurts to look at.
He's a +7 fielder. And for everyone looking at JT Realmuto as that's been rumored about as trade to the Cubs, same fielding and both on base 8s. And yes, Realmuto doubles at 18 to 20 home run versus Contreras doubling at 16 and only having a 20 home run. But both guys get on at 7. Like, neither one is a great on base 8 hitter. I don't know why the Cubs would make that trade. Honestly, I'm surprised that JT is so sought after. I know catcher's kind of a weak position, but his numbers not that much better than Grandal. And honestly, I would much rather have Ramos or Francisco from the Pirates.
We've talked about this offline, and especially with like the Mets, and talking about everyone's trying to trade the world for JT. And over here, Ramos is a free agent. Who I think is just as valuable. Again, I like Contreras. What you guys are going to see in this set as you guys go through this is there's only a few top-tier catchers. You're going to have your Francisco. You're going to have a couple of people, your Ramos, your Contreras, your JT. There's not a lot of big catchers, so you're going to have to make a decision while drafting. If you're drafting the set like I will be, do you going to go for one of the top-tier catchers, or are you punting catcher and going to go for Yadier and Molina or something? This kind of guy, I think you could take a nice middle ground for 240. He reminds me of a Tom Lampkin in the 2000 set. This is a decent on base, decent throwing. He's almost like a Dan Wilson type. I think you're gonna like him. I think people are gonna. I think Contreras is gonna get drafted. I think Francisco will get drafted. I think Ramos and JT will all get drafted. I think not punting catcher is a nice move. The 1 through 6 though hurts, so that's where I start to worry. But other than that, I think he's great. So keep going.
Well, and then round out the lineup with a pair of on-base sevens. Cubs and Dodgers, the only two teams in the set to not have anyone below an on-base seven in their starting lineup.
So good.
So, that's why they won so many games. You got Daniel Murphy. I don't think he's going to get drafted. We got another -1 fielder. Not a big surprise. Good double range, decent home run, 1 to 5 out. But for 200 points, the negative fielding, I feel like second base is somewhere where, you're going to try to either get a really good hitter or you're going to punt for fielding.
Yeah,
and
there's no way I'm drafting this guy.
Yeah, Murphy's stuck right in the middle ground.
Yeah, I'm taking a +4, +5 fielder, or like you said, grabbing a power second baseman. But Jason Hayward, the next guy that you're going to talk about here, off track of this, when he came up for the Braves, I was so excited for what this guy could be, and he hasn't really ever come through other than he's a great outfielder. I mean,
I feel like Ronald Acuna right now is what we all thought Jason Hayward was going to be.
I can't wait till you release that card. The Braves are one of, I think, is that the next couple in your queue? I'm super excited to see what you do with that, because I think Acuna is the next Griffey in terms of playing and his swagger, quote unquote. I think he has the most fun that Griffey had when everyone sees that Griffey MLB playoff thing from last year, let the kids play commercial. I think of Acuna as that guy. I think Acuna's the backwards hat, power, great fielder. I think he's the guy. So Jason Hayward, you're right, is not him, but he's okay.
And not to get too far off on the the Ronald Acuna train, but my league, the 2017 league where we did prospects, Ronald Acuna was the number 2 overall prospect. So like the peak for Shohei Ohtani, he's off the charts pitching stuff just in terms of the scouting grade. So he could be a tier 1, like Pedro Martinez in the original set. He was the number 1 prospect. But Ronald Acuna's peak, which he somehow, and it was very rare to actually hit like your peak stuff. You had to roll a 17 to 20 when you're seeing what these guys could become. And Acuna hit it, which was definitely the best outcome in our minor league system. And so, and this is all based on what the scouting grades for guys were. And so Ronald Acuna, like what his potential is an on-base 10 who homers at 16, aka a 50 home run a year type of guy with 23 speed and +3 defense in center field. He's literally just like peak Mike Trout is Ronald Acuna.
I see him being like a 9-10 on base, 17, 18 home run kind of guy. I mean, we're talking like a 40 home run season to 50 home run season guy.
Yeah.
He has that kind of ability, and I think he's great in the outfield, and I think he's got just as much speed, if not more, than Trout. I mean, he just seems to be the next package.
As long as he's healthy, he's going to be a beast.
Very true.
Unlike the next Cub guy here, Alberto Mora, another center fielder who's a good fielder, but boy, not a lot of pop.
Nope.
Although I'm originally from Geneva, Illinois, which is the home of the Kane County Cougars in the Midwest League. A little single A shout out. And Albert Almora was on the team for a good chunk of time and lived not far away from my parents' house as he was getting he was being sort of housed in town by a family that just sort of opens their doors to the minor leaguers. So really nice guy, but unfortunately not swinging that big of a stick. I did love making his card. I found one of him robbing a home run and climbing a wall to do so, and he looks like Spider-Man in it. But so I like that one. Probably not going to get drafted.
No.
And then on principle, I'm not going to draft Addison Russell, even though he does give +5 fielding at shortstop for only 60 points.
And that's the reason people might draft him. I mean, so you've powered out your lineup. All you got left is a handful of points. Maybe you got 100 points left or just under, and I need fielding or whatever. You punted shortstop. You could grab this guy. He's not great. I hate on base 6 guys, but +5 fielding is nice. And this is what we were talking about earlier in last podcast: is when do you debate, having the power guy with the -1 fielding versus the low power guy with the ++ fielding, and this guy has the ++ fielding. I don't think I'm drafting him, but if I'm in a tight bind, I don't know how my next draft's going to be, and obviously I'll try to keep you guys all in tune. But I feel like he could end up on a team just because he's a +5. He might just make it, and he was a great fielder. He was great for the Cubs. That's what the Cubs did great was they had great fielding. I think they just play a good baseball game, and I hate saying that as an Indians fan because they knocked us out in Game 7, but whatever. On to the rotation.
Yeah, and just lastly on the lineup, such a good bit of flexibility to it because you can have Daniel Murphy early on in the game, and then as the innings get later, you move Javi from short to second, take out Murphy and his -1, and slot in Addison Russell's +5, and suddenly the defense gets +6 stronger. Well, no, +7 stronger because Javi gains a fielding moving from short to second.
Yeah,
so
I think that's how they like to build their team. I think with Madden, they were like, we're going to do shifts and we're going to play great fielding. I think they just did a great job.
Yeah.
So showcase these top pitchers. Now, again, they're tier 3, but they're pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, Lester and Hendricks, ironically, almost the identical cards there. The only difference is Hendricks has one more ground ball. Both guys are control 5, 1 to 15 out, 1 to 5 strikeout. They're very literally David Cone. Okay, I think Kyle Hendricks is exactly what David Cone or Steve Finley's cards were in the original set, and John Lester is almost identical.
Steve Finley, Chuck Finley.
Chuck Finley.
Oh,
man, Steve was the power hitting center fielder. Yeah, Chuck Finley.
That happened just at a random note, but somebody was telling me they're like, I'm gonna pick up this pitcher Nelson Cruz, and I was like, Nelson Cruz is a batter. Apparently, there's a Nelson Cruz pitcher, just so you guys know. But yeah. I'll take Hendricks all day with having one more ground ball out. Though they're just, with these high strikeout guys, I hate seeing them not having the ground ball outs that the old school players had. Because turning double plays is always a big, just crushing blow to your opponent.
And as the hitting angles, everyone's in the launch angle and shooting the ball up, and more fly ball outs, more strikeouts, less ground balls.
It's what happens. I mean, it's nothing we can do. The cards are just reflecting what baseball is doing in real time. But I do like. I'm okay with both cards. I really like kind of this Cole Hamels card.
Cole Hamels is, I think, a very draftable card for 400 points. No doubles, which you talked about earlier, is so key. No doubles, and God, he improved so much moving to Chicago from Texas because he was a tier 5 or 6 his time with the Rangers, and he rapidly improved to get this control 4 1 to 15 out.
He was probably a tier 2 pitcher just with the Cubs. I mean, he was incredible. Did he re-sign with them? Didn't he? Or
I think he did.
I can't remember. But either way, he did great and great for them. He
had a 2.36 ERA. Like he was definitely would have been just tier 3, and that's why he got the no doubles. Is he ended up having to be a tier 4 because he was so bad in Texas, but kind of getting rewarded a little bit for his time in Chicago here.
Yeah. And quickly break down Quintana, but of the 4 pitchers, my vote is Cole Hamels. I like him the best. Yeah,
and then Quintana just. What a waste of prospect. I think they gave up Eloy Jimenez, who's going to be an absolute beast for the White Sox. Like, they just, if they've plugged him, and his peak is as a on-base 9 homer at 16 guy, he's more likely going to be an on-base 8 home run at 16 guy year in and year out for about 360 to 400 points, which if you think about just adding that to this Cubs lineup in place of Jason Hayward, my God,
it sucks too because Quintana was great for the White Sox. So I don't know how you could have known.
Well, I'm not to say that I called this. But because Quintana he was very consistent with the White Sox, but he was a consistent back end tier 3 starting pitcher, and I thought year in and year out of being a control 4 1 to 16 out, control 3 to 1 to 17 out, that's fine. But he's never going to be an ace.
And that's what's good with, as you've always told me, as I got into this and started learning more with how you've been doing things, is you've seen more statistical when you do the showdown cards. You start to really dig deep, and you go, man, like I just said, Quintana was great. But was he? Let me look at how
Like
he broke down his
he was
card.
very good, but
Yeah.
like his ERA was always between like 3.2 and 3.7,
Mm-hmm.
which is fine. And he's obviously he's gotten worse, and now he's a 4 ERA pitcher. But even so, like if he had just stayed at his White Sox level, he would be a control 4, 1 to 16 out guy.
Yeah. And
Like
so
you
are
just
you?
change this walk to a fly ball, he'd still be good, but he was never going to be as good as Eloy Jimenez is probably going to be.
Well, and that's the thing. It's like, so you as a Showdown listener, are you trading your top prospect who could be a 9, 16 to 20 home run? This guy's kind of fun to talk about. I'm
Yeah.
trading my prospect 9 on base, 16 to 20 home run guy to Joe Schmo over there for his Jose Quintana, 4th 16 out guy. I don't know if I want him, and it's cool to look at it when you look at Showdown because it's just stats.
Yep.
You know,
And that's what made our 2017 season so fun, is because we had all these prospects and we were making all these like go all in trades where we're just mortgaging the future, and we're like, this is a potential all-star MVP guy, but I could really use that like 4th starter who's a control 4, 1 to 16 out. Maybe it's worth it. Like I mortgaged the entire Indians farm system to add control 4, 1 to 16 out Madison Bumgarner. Like literally everybody I sent to the Giants. I think it was like 6 guys, and it was totally worth it. I ended up winning a bunch of games, but
did you post all that stuff on the blog or?
it's about to happen because
Okay.
we're doing our minor league progressions right now.
Okay.
So it's coming soon.
All you listeners haven't seen it. Obviously, I've been privy to some of the background information. I've seen some of this stuff, but you listeners and people that have been keeping tabs on the blog will be in for a treat then, because I think Peter and his friends really go deep on the prospects stuff. It's kind of fun. It's different, because I like what Matt does on the site, and I like what you do on the site, and then I do something a little different on the site too. So I think it's really fun for all you listeners to be able to see these breakdowns of these players, prospects, old players, new players, and how they all compare.
Yeah, and then we'll quickly run through the bullpen here. Let's just say Pedro Strop, very draftable, control 6, 1 to 15 out. Like he's a guy everyone's going to target.
Yeah, very draftable.
Brandon Morrow, not someone I'm going to go for. He's basically Lester and Hendricks. Other people will probably like him for 150 points. Steve Cishek, definitely going to be drafted. 160 points, no doubles, control 4, 1 to 16 out.
Yes.
That's the guy. And then Justin Wilson and Brandon Kinsler are both terrible.
Yeah,
super low control, bad charts.
Those guys.
Yeah, no home runs at least. So maybe if you got a punt, maybe find
pick
a way.
Pick up a 10-point player. Yeah, I like Strop a lot. I think he's great as a 6. I mean, people love their control 6 relievers, so they play him for multiple innings.
Yeah,
he's your typical guy, 1 through 15 out. Morrow, like you said, I don't know if I'm drafting him. He's just average at best.
Yeah.
But Cishek for 10 more points, giving me no doubles but plus 1 more out. That's a guy I do like. Control 4 relievers, and people that have played against me know this. I don't like going below that unless. I mean, I've been known to draft a 2000 or a year 2000 Greg Swindell, who's a 17 out 3. But he's like, because I think he's like 100 points. I mean, that's the only reason I'm getting him. I mean, I'm going strictly value, but I don't like going below a 4. I really like having a few 4s that have great outs, and then a few 6s that can play multiple innings, like a John Johnstone. Again, people that are listening, I'm a huge 2000 fan, so I'm throwing a lot of old school names.
John Johnstone is probably the best value in the original set.
I
think
had to get him.
One.
I think
him and Derek Lowe.
Yes, yeah. Me and you talked a lot about before I drafted, and I'm sorry, Peter, but I'm in last place right now in our league. Yeah,
well,
people listening probably should not listen to my advice, but it's all because I wasted so many points on Bob Gibson.
Bob Gibson and then Jeff Bagwell.
Yes, I know.
Jeff Bagwell.
I have too much love for some players, but anyway, back to the Cubs. Great team. Great overall team. Again, a little drop off at the end in the bullpen, but overall just as powerful as the Dodgers. Not just as the Dodgers are crazy, but like you said, they probably should have won the Central. It's going to be interesting to see you perform this as an overall team in your league. and very draftable players that I can see as a drafter. So,
Yeah.
anything else you want to add to this other than that?
Braves should be the next NL team up. So we'll get to gush about Acuna.
Yeah.
And
We'll talk
sort
about
of-
Acuna in every podcast because
and
talking
then
about the Cubs
just
and-
prepare. I think maybe our most controversial card is going to be Ozzy Albies.
Ooh.
I think people are going to be pissed.
I can't wait to talk about that card. I can't wait to talk about Acuna and how much I lust over him, and how much I could talk about my fantasy stories then. But for today, for all our listeners, obviously, let us know what you guys think. I think Javi Baez is the card that everyone's going to be talking about from the set in terms of picture, in terms of stats. Where you guys drafting him? Other than that, Peter, my bourbon's gone again, and I'm gonna say let's get this thing wrapped up.
All right. Sounds good, Bob.
Have a good one.
You-